Have you noticed how your breath slows the moment your cat finally sits next to you after ignoring you all day? Your shoulders drop, your thoughts quiet down, and your body feels safe enough to rest. If this feeling sounds familiar, this video may be speaking directly to you. People who love cats are often called cold, distant, strange, or even antisocial. But those labels are misleading, and the reason has little to do with personality. It has everything to do with how your nervous system processes the world, how it looks for regulation, safety, clear boundaries, and the absence of pressure. Loving cats is not a weakness. It's a form of self-care, a biological signal that your body seeks calm, not performance. So the question isn't whether you love cats. The question is why. We are often told that being quiet means being cold, or that needing space means we do not care about others. But in the psychology of cat lovers, silence is never empty. It is simply a different language. The preference for cats often signals a mind that values observation over performance. People who love dogs usually enjoy high-energy interaction and constant feedback. But cat people tend to have a different way of processing the world. You do not need loud displays of affection to know a connection is real. Instead, you look for subtle cues, a slow blink, a quiet presence in the same room. This is not about being antisocial. It is about selectivity. Your energy is precious, and you prefer to spend it in environments that do not demand you to be constantly on. Perhaps you have felt drained after social events where everyone is talking over each other. You might find yourself retreating to a quiet corner just to breathe. It is not that you dislike people. It is that you feel everything deeply. You notice the shift in a tone of voice. You feel the tension in a room before anyone speaks. Because you receive so much information from the world, you do not need more noise. You need a companion who understands that being together does not always mean doing something together. Have you ever noticed why a dog jumping on you can feel overwhelming, but a cat sleeping heavily on your lap feels like medicine? This reaction is not about which animal is better. It is about how your nervous system finds safety. For many people, the world feels too fast and too loud. Your body might be in a state of high alert, constantly scanning for problems or trying to manage the emotions of others. This is exhausting. Dogs, with their wonderful enthusiasm, often add more stimulation to an already busy system. Cats do the opposite. They operate on a lower frequency. They move slowly. They sleep often. When a cat is calm near you, it acts as a biological anchor. It signals to your brain that there is no immediate danger. This is called co-regulation. You are borrowing the cat's calmness to lower your own heart rate. You likely know the feeling of coming home and just wanting the demands to stop. You do not want to answer questions. You do not want to solve problems. In those moments, the presence of a cat is healing because they demand nothing. They do not ask you to explain your day. They do not need you to smile. They simply exist, and they let you exist. For a tired mind, this absence of pressure is the purest form of rest. Most people believe that true affection must be constant and available on demand. But the cat lover understands a deeper truth about relationships. Real safety comes from respecting boundaries. A relationship with a cat is a lesson in consent. You cannot force a cat to love you. You cannot make them sit with you if they do not want to. They come to you only when they choose to. For some, this feels like rejection. But for you, this feels like honesty. When a cat chooses to curl up next to you, you know it is genuine. There is no obligation. This dynamic is especially comforting for people who have felt controlled or smothered in human relationships. It creates a safe space where you are not responsible for someone else's happiness every second of the day. Maybe you are someone who values autonomy deeply. You love companionship, but you also need to know that you can walk away and be alone without hurting anyone's feelings. You fear relationships that feel like a cage. With a cat, you are never trapped. You are two independent beings sharing a space. And in a world that constantly tries to cross your lines, having a companion that teaches you how to keep them is a powerful thing. There is a quiet pattern among writers, artists, and deep thinkers to gravitate towards cats. This is not a coincidence, but a requirement for how their minds function. Creative and analytical work requires a state of flow. This is a mental zone where you are completely absorbed in what you are doing. To stay in this zone, you need an environment with zero unnecessary interruptions. A dog, while loving, often breaks this flow. They need to go out, they bark at the mailman, they demand play. A cat, however, understands the art of parallel existence. They can sit on your desk for hours without saying a word. Their presence is steady but not demanding. They protect your mental space by occupying it gently, preventing you from feeling lonely without pulling you out of your thoughts. You are likely someone who gets frustrated easily when your concentration is broken. When you are thinking, you go deep. A sudden noise or a demand for attention can feel physically painful to your brain. You love cats because they do not force you to switch tasks. They allow you to be productive and peaceful at the same time. You value a companion who respects your need to go inside your own mind. Have you ever noticed why you feel an overwhelming urge to protect an animal that is essentially a perfect predator? This reaction is triggered by a powerful biological shortcut called the baby schema. Evolution has wired humans to care for things with specific features. Large eyes relative to the face, a small nose, and a high forehead. These are the features of human infants. Cats, by pure evolutionary accident, match this pattern perfectly. When you look at your cat, your brain releases dopamine and oxytocin, the same chemicals involved in bonding with a baby. But unlike a human baby, a cat is independent. This creates a unique psychological dynamic. You get to fulfill your nurturing instinct, the need to care for something, without the heavy burden of constant dependency. It is all of the warmth with none of the overwhelming responsibility. You might be someone who has a lot of love to give, but you are careful about who you give it to. Investing emotions in people can be risky and draining. People can judge you or demand too much. But caring for a cat feels safe. You can pour your tenderness into them, and they simply accept it. It validates your gentle side. It proves that you are capable of deep caretaking, as long as the recipient makes you feel safe enough to show it. We are often told that if we do not express our feelings loudly, we are repressing them, or we are emotionally unavailable. This is a fundamental misunderstanding of how introverted nervous systems process emotion. Cat people often feel things very deeply, but the processing happens on the inside. Think about how a cat expresses happiness. It does not run in circles or bark. It sits still and vibrates. The purr is an internal mechanism. It is intense, but it is contained. You likely relate to this. Your joy, your sadness, and your love are not performances for an audience. They are private experiences. You do not need to shout to feel real. In a world that equates volume with honesty, the cat is a validation of your quiet intensity. It teaches you that you can be full of feeling without making a sound. How many times have people asked you, "What's wrong?" or "Are you mad?" when you were simply thinking? It is frustrating to constantly explain that your neutral face does not mean a neutral heart. You are tired of having to perform emotions just to make others feel comfortable. With a cat, you never have to explain. They understand that silence is not an absence of feeling. It is often where the deepest feelings live. The value of earned affection. We are often taught that love should be easy and given freely to everyone, like the unconditional wag of a dog's tail. But psychologically, we place a much higher value on rewards that are scarce and difficult to obtain. A dog will usually greet a burglar with the same enthusiasm as it greets its owner. A cat, however, is discerning. They are skeptics by nature. They assess the environment for safety before they open up. When a cat decides to trust you, it is not an automatic reflex. It is a conscious decision. This triggers a unique response in the human brain. Because the cat does not love everyone, their love for you feels personal. It confirms that you are a safe person. It validates your character in a way that easy affection cannot. You are likely someone who has a strong radar for fake behavior. You feel uncomfortable when people are overly friendly too quickly. It feels suspicious to you. You prefer relationships that build slowly over time. You respect people who do not give their trust away cheaply. When a cat chooses you, it resonates with your deep need for authenticity. You do not want to be liked just because you are there. You want to be liked because of who you are. Have you ever noticed that you can feel lonely in a crowded room, but completely content when you are alone in your apartment? This is the paradox of the introverted nervous system, and cats are the masters of it. Psychologically, there is a massive difference between isolation and solitude. Isolation feels empty. Solitude feels full. Cats are solitary hunters, but they are social by choice. They practice a behavior called parallel play. This is when two beings share a space comfortably without interacting directly. A cat sleeping on a bookshelf while you read is the perfect example. Their presence fills the empty space in the room, removing the sharp edge of loneliness. Yet they do not demand your energy. They transform an empty house into a living home simply by breathing in the corner. You might be someone who needs a lot of time alone to recharge, but you sometimes worry that this makes you antisocial. You feel a conflict between wanting company and wanting peace. The cat resolves this conflict. They allow you to be alone without being lonely. They validate your need to withdraw from the world. With them, you realize that you do not hate company. You just hate the obligation to entertain others. Most people get this wrong about pet ownership. They think we keep cats because they are cute, but the truth is, we keep them because we admire them. We project our desired self onto the animal we choose. The cat is the ultimate symbol of autonomy. If a cat does not want to do something, it simply walks away. It does not feel guilty. It does not apologize. It prioritizes its own comfort and safety above your approval. For people who have spent their lives trying to please others or who struggle to say no, the cat is a role model. You watch them sleeping in a patch of sunlight, completely unbothered by the chaos of the world, and your nervous system recognizes a freedom that it craves. You are not just looking at a pet. You are looking at a masterclass in self-preservation. Perhaps you often feel guilty when you put yourself first. You might worry that you are being selfish if you set a boundary. You look at your cat and you feel a sense of envy. You admire their ability to live entirely on their own terms. Loving them is a way of giving yourself permission to be a little more like them, to rest without earning it, to say no without explaining, to be enough, just as you are. We are often taught to measure love by dependency, but loving a cat proves you value connection over control. It is a revolutionary act that says you are complete enough to love something that stays with you only out of preference, not need. This isn't just about owning a pet. It is about your nervous system recognizing the specific kind of peace it required to function without overload. Your body didn't just accept a companion, it intuitively chose a mirror for its own independence. If this analysis gave words to a feeling you have always carried, leaving a like is a quiet way to say this resonated. You might want to subscribe to ensure we can keep exploring the unseen parts of your psychology together. Thank you for watching.